Okay, we're back and active this semester on undergraduate research, brown bag. This will be our first one. So we are happy for anybody who's watching this or comes to our meetings. You can find all the information in our newsletters or on our website. Today we are pleased to have Cordell Moats, who is going to talk to us about getting into grad school and what it takes to succeed in grad school. So, Cordell, if you would like to take it away, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today and kind of get some experience with some more public speaking opportunities like this. Um, I am a history student. I started at Valdosta as an undergrad in 2018. I am now I've completed my bachelor's degree. Um, I did 2 minors during undergrad, one in political science, one in Native American studies. Um, and now I'm pursuing a master's degree in history here at VSU, and I have gotten the opportunity to work as a graduate assistant for Dr. Laverne and the Undergrad Research Council, and couldn't be happier to be here. Um, so I was thinking about this last night, and I wrote down 3 points that I want to talk about today um, when it comes to getting to grad school and then succeeding in grad school. Um, and the first one is really more about getting to grad school, and it's to really take your time during undergrad to figure out what you want to study. Um, for me, I knew I wanted to study history even before I started undergrad, but I didn't really know what kind of history. And I'm sure people in other disciplines have similar challenges of not sure what portions of their overarching degree field they want to focus on. Um, and so for me, when I got into undergrad, and really it wasn't until late into undergrad, it was during my senior year that I found a passion for Native American history and doing that minor in Native American studies um, during undergrad really kind of showed me that I had the potential and the drive to study more Native American history moving into my grad school program. And so I'd just say a piece of advice for undergrad students looking to go to grad school is find something that you like studying. Especially when you get to grad school, it's going to make it a lot easier to focus on those big projects that grad school has you do, especially if, like my program, you have to do a thesis. Having a topic that you like to do will make it um, a much more enjoyable process of going through and writing those papers, doing that research, um, because it's something that you already know you enjoy. Um, so moving on to my second point is um, start doing research when you can, as early as you can. There's not really a too early point to start um, building your research skills. It's never too late to start building your research skills. Um, and with that, kind of make sure that you're using all of the availability, all of the opportunities that are available um, to you with doing research. Obviously, most undergrad upper level classes, you're going to have some sort of like research based class assignment. But don't just let that research be for class. Make sure you get everything out of it that you can. Um, and so, like, things like submitting to our undergrad research symposium that's held every spring, um, or submitting to the on-campus research journal for undergrad students, the Omnimo journal. Submit to those things. Take the research that you've already done for class and use it to boost your future grad school application by being able to say that you've been published in a research journal or that you've presented at conferences. Um, those are things that grad schools are going to really like seeing. Um, I know from my own personal experience that is kind of one of the things that helped me get here is I did a lot of undergrad research in in different disciplines, different topics, um, and that definitely boosted my resume when I got to looking at grad school. Um, Outside of my personal experience with trying to get into VSU, I know a few students that have done similar things of doing undergrad research and then continuing to go for a grad school program outside of VSU. And those are things that their grad school has been like, that's really cool that you did that during undergrad. So do as much research as you can. Um, put yourself out there as much as you can when it comes to building a resume based in research that you can put forward to a grad school one day. Um, and then my last kind of point, this is getting more into not just getting to grad school, but also succeeding in grad school. Always remember to have some sort of social life. Don't sacrifice your social life for your schooling, because that's a safety net and a support system that is going to be highly beneficial to getting into grad school, completing your undergrad degrees, and then getting through grad school and completing that degree. And social life can be your friends, it can be your family, just whoever you talk to that keeps you kind of grounded and like remembering that you're doing the best you can, even when sometimes you feel like you might not be. So that is probably a very important part of succeeding in grad school. It also comes with a challenge, and that's that your social life doesn't making sure that your social life doesn't overshadow the importance of school, um, because you can't, just as like I say, you can't sacrifice your social life for your schooling, you can't sacrifice your schooling for your social life. There has to be a balance between those. Um, so finding that balance, it can be a challenge, but that's what's going to help you succeed the most. Um, Another big challenge that can come with your social life is if you have work obligations. Um, and for that, I'd recommend finding a job um, that will recognize that you are a student first, that it'll work around your school schedule, um, and be able to support you in that way. Um, so for undergrad, I'd recommend like getting an on-campus job that recognizes that you're a student first. For grad school, I'd highly recommend getting a grad assistantship, because it helps with both cost of going to school as well as respecting that you have a school schedule that has to take priority sometimes. So it can be a lot with getting into grad school, going to grad school, and succeeding in grad school. But it's definitely well worth the effort to do so, just because of the experiences that you get to have, the challenges that you face. They can be overwhelming, but they're also life-changing at the same time. So that would be a good short and sweet summary of getting to and succeeding in grad school. Is maintain a good social life throughout your higher education career. Start doing research, start building a resume, and find what you're passionate about. So Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything. And everybody can always reach out to me by email. My email is bcmoats@valdosta.edu. So thank you again for all your time.
Well, thank you, Cordell. I do have a question for you. Was there
Mhm.
anything that surprised you in the application for grad school, in applying, or once you got into grad school? Were there any unforeseen things?
Um, with applying to grad school, I think not really unforeseen, but one of those like nerve-wracking things was probably asking for letters of recommendation. Um, and for that, I'd recommend just finding professors that you have a good rapport with, or that you feel like um, you get along really well with, that you can reach out to and ask for those letters of recommendation, um, so that you know that you're getting the best possible like reference to grad schools. For me, Dr. Laverne, I'm fairly certain, wrote one of my letters of recommendation for grad school, and that was um, something that I knew you would do a great job with, but it was still one of those like very challenging, like, oh, I'm not sure, like, if, like, I think she thinks really highly of me, but I'm not sure if she does. And so, especially for undergrad students, it can be a little bit of an intimidating thing to have to ask for those letter of recommendations. So, I expected that to really happen, so it wasn't really unforeseen, but it was still a challenge that I had to face with the application process.
I
So,
like that. It's something that students really need to think about who's going to be their reference.
mhm.
Um, I'll put you on the spot here. Is there anything surprising that happened when you got your TA ship? Anything you
With
weren't
my
expecting?
GA position,
Hmm.
I I was not expecting to have an office with my GA position. Um, so this is a neat experience, having a place that I can um, come and do my GA work and my school work. Um, that was a very surprising thing that I wasn't expecting. Um, and I think the um, rapport that I've had with a lot of the professors as a GA, like working with Undergrad Research Council, um, has kind of shifted or changed a little bit. Like, um, obviously, I get to work with you, and I greatly value all the time that we get to talk and whatnot. But even like when I had a class with Dr. Aiello, who's one of our council members, already having kind of already kind of knowing him from class, and then getting to know him as like uh, um, another council member. That was a neat experience. I remember the first council meeting that I attended. Um, it was online, and he joins in, and he looks at the camera, and he's like, "Bro, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm the graduate assistant." And he's like, "Oh, that's so cool." Like that sort of experience is pretty neat.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Laura has a question, and it says, "Can you offer any advice or sample writings? How to select what to use? Should I write something special, etc.?" That's a good question.
Uh, that is a very good question. Um, I'd say, going back to my first point on finding something you like to study, try to make your writing sample something that, like, on that topic. For me, doing Native American history, I used um, some writing from Dr. Laverne's classes as my writing sample for my grad school application, because it was on Native American history. I was talking about the Seminoles in the 1800s. Um, and that was probably some of my favorite work that I've done. I wouldn't necessarily say you need to write anything extra for your writing sample aside from like maybe like statement of interest or like as far as like your research skill base goes, I'd say use something from your classes. If nothing else, uh, you're always going to probably have some sort of writing sample from either upper level classes, or if you have a senior capstone class, you could always use your senior capstone writing assignment as your writing sample, because that's going to be like the best of your work theoretically. Um, so you could use that. I elected not to use that because my capstone was on ancient history, not Native American history. Um, so I used my Native American research instead of my um, capstone class research, but that's always an option as well. So I don't necessarily think you need to write anything special, but try to write something that you like. Um, because if you write something you like, it's going to show in its quality. The quality is going to be much higher if it's something that you enjoy doing.
That's great advice. And Laura says, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? All right. If not, I guess we'll let you go eat lunch. I want to thank you for being here and great advice. I think that students are going to find it very helpful just to have somebody who's been through it, and you may get a lot of calls. I hope so.
Yeah.
But thank you for being with us, and thank you for coming in. And Laura, thank you for the question. I hope others will enjoy what you had to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to
Yep.
go ahead and stop.
Thank
All right.
you.
You're welcome, Laura.